Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk to all you Etsy sellers that have hundreds of sales or low thousands of sales and you just don't know what to do next with your Etsy business. You've done the hard part, which is proving viability for your Etsy store. You've made the hundreds of sales or low thousands of sales, but now you're stuck. You don't know which way to turn, what to do. It's often harder to understand how to function with your store moving forward in this position against someone who's opening a new store. It's easier when you're a new store. You know your mission. You've got to build and grow, and I teach you guys all the time how to do that. But this video is just for the people who have made it to a certain level, hundreds or low thousands of sales. Let's get into the advice I've got to give you. There's some absolutely cracking bits of information in here. So make sure you stay right to the end because there's always a pot of gold at the end in my videos. Let's get into this. Okay, my first point, and this is all brand new information for my channel for you guys. My first point is you need to understand your store's visibility position inside Etsy. Now, this may sound really difficult, but it actually isn't. So let's take some examples so you understand this. If you've got an Etsy store with 20 items in it and you've made 200 sales in 6 months, 20 items, 200 sales, 6 months. Your visibility position is really, really strong. You've generated 200 sales from 20 items in 6 months. That is Etsy telling you you need to add more items to your store. You're doing really well. You've got 200 sales from 20 items. That's not normal, by the way, guys. That is not normal for a store of 20 items in size. Now let's swap the number of items from 20 to 500. So if the store's got 500 items, it's made 200 sales in 6 months. And yes, I know if you had 500 items, they are loaded too quickly. Let's park that piece of the argument for this exercise. Now, with 500 items, 200 sales, and 6 months, we're looking at a completely different perspective. We've got 500 items in the store, but loads of them won't be selling. Because normally, it's only a small percentage of the items you stock that do the damage and make the sales. So now do you see, you need to know your visibility position, know how strong your store is inside Etsy's quality score system, so that you know what to do next. So the store with 20 items, 200 sales, open for 6 months. It's so easy what their next step is. It's to grow the store. There's more sales for you there. But if you've got 500 items, 200 sales, and you've been open 6 months, we already know with only 200 sales, only a small percentage of those products will be successful, are being successful, and the store's quite big. 500 items is a fairly large store. So for this person with 500 items, what they need to do is start to go into their listings, look at what's working, look at what's not working, and start to use, in a way, what's common business sense. Focus in on the second 6 months of the store's life and look at what's working, look at what's selling, observe what's not working, and start to push into the items that the customers want to buy. And I know that those items were loaded too quickly. It's just to show the example. So now let's take another example. So a store has 2,000 sales. Okay, so a store's got 2,000 sales, 12 months. So it's been on the platform a year, and they've got 100 items. Okay, so 100 items, 12 months on the platform, 2,000 sales. You can easily see their area or position of visibility, again, is good because they're generating the sales from a fairly small amount of items. Their job is to grow and make more. Now, if we bring in 500 items, so same as before, 500 items, 2,000 sales in 12 months, the picture is better. It's better for this store now because the sales are still high. Yes, they've got 500 items in their store, but 2,000 sales is 10 times 200. So now in there, This store has more history. It's got 12 months history of what's been working. There will be more sales across other items as well. We've got 10 times, 2,000 versus 200. So we look at our visibility position, look at the products that are working. There'll be more in that store working than the store with 500 items and 200 sales. So do you see, it's not that difficult to get a working idea of what your visibility position is inside Etsy. If you want to know what your position is, tell me how many items you've got, how many sales you've got, how long you've been on Etsy. Put it in my comments, 1, 2, 3. I can't accept long-winded answers just because it takes so long for me to reply. I don't want to have to go through a lot of data, a lot of information, because I try to answer everyone's question. Put it in there and I'll give you a good idea as to what's going on in your store. So that's the first bit, understanding your shop's visibility position. Let's move on to the next important tip that I've never mentioned before for growing and stores that have hundreds or low thousands of sales. Okay, this is my second new tip for stores with hundreds or low thousands of sales. You need to know that you can move listings in and out of your store faster. So you know, guys, you hear me all the time, list 1 item per day, get to 100 items, right? The playing field when you've got hundreds or thousands of sales is different. It's not the same. You don't have to stick to 1 item a day into your store or 1 item out or 1 in and 1 out. No, you don't. You have the ability to move more quickly. Because you've got hundreds of sales or low thousands of sales in your store, you can move items in and out more quickly according to what's going in your store. You don't just have to move 1 item in and out per day. Depending on how many sales you've got, how many items you've got, you can easily manage 2 movements a day, 3 movements a day. By that, what I mean is 2 items in, 2 items out, 3 items in, 3 items out. That's common when I work with my clients who have hundreds or low thousands of sales. You can move more quickly because you have visibility in your store. Do you want me to prove it to you? I'll prove it to you. Every time you guys put items into your store with hundreds of sales or low thousands of sales, check the visibility of your items. See when you start to get visits. I guarantee you guys are getting visits on your items pretty quickly. Within a day or 2, you've got some visits. Whereas new stores or growing stores under 100 items, they don't have this luxury. You have an embedded level of visibility in your store, created by the sales you've already made. Okay, so it's very, very important that you understand you can move faster. Okay, so if you've got old listings in your store, you don't just have to take 1 out at a time. You can remove 2 or 3 in a day, add 2 or 3 fresh listings in a day. Not a problem. If you've got the sales and your store is working, you can do this and move and change things in your store. So speed, you can edit and change and move listings faster. Let's get on to the next tip. Okay, this next tip is absolute gold and lots of sellers don't realize this. Maybe you don't realize this as a mid-sized Etsy seller in terms of sales. If you've made hundreds or low thousands of sales on Etsy, and by low thousands, I mean 2,000, 3,000, 3,500 inside that area. If you've made hundreds or low thousands of sales and you only have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 items in your store, you have to understand your headroom for growth. You are being restricted. You are restricting your store by the size of the inventory, how many items you've got in stock. Okay, so if you've got around 100 items or 80 or 120 or 60, and you've got hundreds or low thousands of sales, you've got to make your store bigger. Etsy is crying out for growth. You're actually holding the store back. So have a think to yourself, well, how many sales have I got? 2,000. How many items have I got? 80 or 100. You need to grow. So this is so important, and so many sellers don't realize. They don't make the connection between sales volume and store growth. There is a direct connection between this. Don't take my word for it. Go and find 10 stores on Etsy with 50,000 sales or more. 10 stores with 50,000 sales or more. Look how many items they've got in there. I guarantee you most of them are hundreds of items, if not low thousands. So understand your headroom for growth. Tell me what you've got in your store. Give me your sales, give me a number of inventory. I'll tell you whether you are a good candidate to grow some more. Let's move on to the final point. This is absolute gold. I know I keep bigging myself up here, but these tips really are. This is what I teach my clients all the time. Let's get on to the final tip. You'll love this one. Okay, the final tip, I absolutely love this. It's going to hopefully pop light bulbs off in some of you in your mind watching this. If you have hundreds or low thousands of sales on Etsy, you are on the way and have potential to become a leader. So you know all these guys on YouTube when they tell you, oh, take this design and copy it and just change it a bit. That's all fine. That's all fine. But you guys, with the sales that you have, you've got that piece of the puzzle solved. You're working, your business is viable. You are on the way to becoming a leader, and you have to start bringing risk products into your store. Okay, once you've got visibility, you already know this. Go in your store and look when you add a new product. You get views quickly. This is your position of quality score privilege. You are higher up in visibility than new stores. Use it. So bring in a 20 to 30% risk product ratio. Because if you want to move to the next level and turn your low thousands of sales or hundreds of sales into tens of thousands of sales, you've got to become a leader in some shape or form. I know what it feels like to be a leader on Etsy. In my digital store, I've got one of my listings. It's a Halloween listing. It's doing 10 sales a day, 12 sales a day, 13 sales a day. And when you get that, you get copied. So you get copied by other people, but you're the leader. You're the one that gets the sales first, and people stream in behind you. Oh, you know, this shop's doing this. I'm going to copy it and change it and do my version. That's the way of business. Everyone copies. You also have leaders. So this is the final tip. Be a leader. Take risks in your store where you put aside periods of time in your business where you're going to design and bring to market products that don't have proof of concept, that don't have the research to necessarily back you to say that people are going to buy this. Use your business sense, use your niche insight, and take risks. I can't stress this enough. I work with stores, 2 stores at the moment. One of them does $5 million a year. One of them does almost $6 million a year on Etsy. That is massive. There's nobody else out there talking to you with this experience, working with this level of Etsy store. And we take risks. We take risks in these stores with products that nobody else is doing. Product designs, colors, finishes, all sorts of different things we look at. And this brings in more revenue and makes you a leader. Once you're a leader, people will buy from you more because they get to understand you're the leader. You are the one doing well. You're the one with the products that no one else has got. That's my last tip. I hope it makes sense. Become or try to be a leader. Get into my comments. Tell me what you thought about this video. Do you want to see more? Do you want me to talk about more about stores that have hundreds or thousands of sales and more strategies for that? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you're stuck in your Etsy store, work with me. There's no reason not to work with me. I've got 5-minute mini consultations, $25. Half an hour is $160. Reasonable. This is reasonable for working with me, and I will help you build a successful Etsy business. Get into my comments. As always, I answer every single one, and I look forward to speaking to you there. Cheers.